On this episode of Athletes Anonymous Presents After the Buzzer, we're going to talk about SGA being up for Most Improved, Mikal Bridges and the Brooklyn Nets, Dame Lillard's historic season, Udonis Haslem calling it a season or calling it a career after this season, and Ja Morant, of course, and all the accusations. Let's get to that intro music. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your co-host, Keone McKeague, and with me, as always, are my longtime friends and co-hosts, Nolan Chang, Jared Shirai. Say what's up to the pod, boys.
Hello. What up?
All right, so we are here. We're talking NBA basketball. I decided this week we're going to change it up a little because we do talk a lot about the Bulls and the Lakers, and I know everybody's always like, all you guys talk about is the Bulls and the Lakers. So this week, for the first time ever, we're going to have an entire pod where none of the topics are about either the Bulls or the Lakers.
We right now, next football season where we don't have Jalen talking about Chiefs.
You know that's impossible. He somehow can swing any conversation around into the. Hey, I barely talked about the Steelers this year.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, the Chiefs, however, were like literally every single pod. Yeah. Whether it was like running back conversation, tight end conversation, quarterback conversation, somehow always made it back a while. But
whenever anyway. Josh Allen came up.
Yeah, no, really though. But I'm gonna swing it over to you first, Nolan. We're talking about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, aka SGA.
Actually,
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Shay.
Anyway, so Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, for Most Improved, he seems to be the front runner for that award. Obviously, he's having himself a hell of a season. Just going to throw it over to you. What are your kind of thoughts on how he has improved, and better yet, more so, kind of what do you see in his game that you like?
Overall, I wouldn't say that I would give him the award. His minutes are pretty much the same. It's like an increase of 1 minute since last season. Mm-hmm. His rebounds are down a little bit. His assists are kind of the same. His points improved by about 6 points, which is, definitely an improvement. But coming from someone who averaged 24 points last season to making it 31, I don't know if I would consider that player to be...
That's a big jump.
It is, but to be like a most improved player, I don't want to like give it to someone who we would have considered technically a star in the league last season, right? For his respective team. I got to give it to Lauri Markkanen, man. I think he's actually the more deserving one of the most improved. Or if you want to go into it, it could be maybe Desmond Bane kind of coming in, but he didn't really change up too much from last season. He is a bigger part of their rotation now. Or bigger part of their success, I guess you could say. But
it's like,
to me,
he's scoring, but he always scored. So
to me, I think Shai is definitely improved, but I wouldn't say he is the most improved player. I think I would definitely give the nod more to Lauri just because of not only the season that he's having, but their early on success. Obviously, things have changed up since, and they're now lower in the ranks as projected or as predicted before season started. But SGA,
Conley did get traded, right? He's with the
Conley is now with Timberwolves.
Okay.
So I think that SGA is a phenomenal talent. He's going to be a star in the league for quite a while. I'm excited to see with Chet coming back next season, possibly picking up some good first rounders this season, or making trades because they have the assets to do so. OKC could have a good potential future, especially with SGA running the helm. But that's going to be dependent on how they do in the offseason.
Victor Wembanyama.
I don't see OKC going for him.
If they get the first overall pick?
Because you have Chet.
There's no way you don't pick.
So are you trading off Chet and other first-round picks?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if you have the chance and you're number one, I'd take Victor over Chet on 100%.
That's fair. Yeah, okay.
But I also think they would just try to run it with the two guys at the 4 and 5.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely a possibility, especially in the small ball era. Because Victor
like,
can play
honestly,
anything.
I doubt they would pass up. There's no way. I mean, unless you get like a ridiculous trade for number one overall.
James.
He's not even worth the number one. Like the number one overall pick right now, especially when it's Victor Wembanyama. I mean,
that's true. That's fair.
Yeah, as much as I love LeBron, it's like his knees slowly. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
And we
his
still talked about
longevity.
the Lakers.
When
There we go.
Sorry,
Talk about the Lakers.
I was going to say the last thing about SGA.
LeBron.
The last thing about SGA is, for awards like this, I don't like that points are kind of the main indicator. If it is someone, because you could have someone
always hated that,
someone that didn't get any minutes, like Cam Reddish, for example. Let's say next season he starts going off for 15 points a game. He was just averaging 3 this season. So are you going to give him the most improved because now he actually gets meaningful minutes on a team that's willing to put him in the rotation? I just don't feel that is a good indicator. For Shai, if his other peripheral stats had bumped up as well, I'd be like, yeah, you know what? I do think he deserves to get a bigger nod for the most improved. But if it's something where he is the only star on a team and he is the only point-producing player, then why am I going to give him the most improved when you can look at other players who are coming into new teams? Or
what is he doing? What is he doing statistically defensively?
His steals are pretty much the exact same as last year. I believe he has 1.3 last year and he's 1.7 this year. He did add.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I thought they said that he
but
was maybe like 3 or 4 now this year as far as leading the league in steals or something.
Oh, gotcha. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
But
like,
yeah,
I feel like it was something like he makes an impact on both sides.
Gotcha.
If I'm being honest, I haven't really been paying attention to SGA. So
gotcha. Yeah, but that's just my take on it. He deserves to be, I guess, in the rankings for the most improved, but I don't think I would give him the nod for the number one.
Yeah, shout out to Lauri, man. Homeboy's having a hell of a season. Son of a gun. I was just saying, he's just one of those players that you just wanted him to get there, and he's finally getting there. But anyway, swinging it over to you, Jared. I'm going to talk about Mikal Bridges and the Nets. We're obviously post KD trade. They did get a lot of pieces in that trade, including Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, a lot of picks. But most importantly, we're kind of seeing an improvement from Mikal on kind of the offensive end. So I'm just kind of curious, what are your thoughts on Mikal Bridges' outlook? Do you see that he could be kind of like that guy come next year? And obviously, as this team continues to grow, if they could be a contender in the next few years.
Well, first off, I'm going to applaud you for not going too deep into the Lauri Markkanen thing. Like, I think that was pretty perfect stop timing for you.
Just that son of a gun. It just honestly, I didn't want to trade him. I didn't want to trade him in the first place, but I was very against trading him. But he kind of won it out anyway, so it's whatever at this point.
And it's a good fit for him.
I'm so happy for him.
I'm happy for him too. I mean, even though it's shitty in your situation, but Mikal Bridges having a hell of a turnaround after being traded for like their whole team and all their picks. But I mean, we went from talking about the Nets where there was no superstar now, and I think he's been like one of those that I wouldn't per se name him a superstar, but he's been putting up superstar numbers, and they've been treating him like with that priority. I did the stats for it, and since joining, he's averaging 26.1 per game with 2 really shitty games where he had like a 13 and a 7. You take out those 2 games, he's averaging over 30. He's averaging 30.7, which really markets for their offense. And then you put Dinwiddie back to a place where he probably never wanted to leave. You have shooters like Seth and Joe around him. This team is I would say, even though they're not like favored to go deep into the playoffs or do special things, I think they're going to go as far as he goes because he's been carrying that offensive, not just the offensive load. I feel like he's been carrying the energy load. Like he's been that spark for them per se, I guess you would say, that they needed, because they're like, oh, we always rely on our 2 superstars. We look at Kyrie, we look at KD,
because I know it
and
happens
everybody
often,
else
but Cam
just does their
Thomas
own
kind of
thing.
fell off a little bit too. All right, is it? I always forget which one is which. Cam Johnson joins. Cam Thomas was the one that already on the team. Okay,
Yeah. And that's what it is, It's like you just gotta look and take what hand you're dealt. And I think he's been just running with the opportunities that he's been given. Him and Cam Johnson. Like, I love Cam Johnson. I loved him when he was at the Phoenix, and I thought that was like a really good pickup for Brooklyn because he can spread the floor. He's a big dude.
Yep.
Like. And before he got injured, I think it was earlier this season or last season. Like he was putting up good numbers and good minutes, and good. That's just good for them.
He was on the radar for Sixth Man of the Year last year, so it's one of those things where it's like when you get a guy like that, I think if they're just literally like if Ben Simmons can freaking become Ben Simmons again, like that two right there, those two right there, plus if Cam Johnson decides to be just like phenomenal next year, I don't know. To me, they just have a lot of potential there. Like they're building something, but
they do.
No, I agree. It's kind of like when we were talking about the Jazz, how there's like no real big superstar now. There's just like a lot of really good role players that accept their role and just kind of dish and do things. And then I feel like Mikal Bridges, if we're going to compare it, like Mikal Bridges is the Lauri Markkanen for them right now, where he stepped into that role and he's scoring for them, and everybody else is just on board being steady, and that's why they've been putting up some good games. Whether they're winning or losing games, they're putting up good games. Like just like fighting off big teams, playing well, and just I would say getting ready for next season if there's anything else that you're saying, because like they're building all that chemistry going forward.
Yeah, it's funny too because we
have a special guest.
I look, huh?
Just my cat.
Special guest.
Oh,
chilling over there.
No, I'm looking at the team, and in my head, I'm thinking like one. I mean, I think the trade was pretty fantastic for the Nets. They got a really good get for what they traded away, and two, it's literally like if Mikal Bridges can. Well, one, I'm happy for Mikal Bridges because I feel like for the longest time they kind of had him in the same.
It's like an overshadowed.
Yeah, and they always talked about him like what is that kid, Matisse Thybulle, where they kind of were like, oh, he's just defensive. He doesn't really have a shot. He's not really there. But like now, you see, he's got a stroke. He's slowly like getting his confidence up with the scoring. I mean, it's a lot more driving than it is shooting. But I mean, he's becoming kind of a mid-range killer a little bit for that team. So in my head, like if this dude can reach like Jason Tatum levels of stardom, and I do think that there is potential for that.
For Mikal.
Yeah. Because he's a two-way player. I mean, he has it on both ends. So if he can really get to that point, sky's the limit for the Brooklyn Nets, man. I'm honestly, they're one of those teams that I'm like, I'm thankful now that they've chosen this direction rather than continuing with the horrible big three that they decided to put together.
I think his percentage splits and actual stats right now are pretty much just on par with what Kevin Durant had. So it's like, you really didn't lose much. You only gained pieces plus picks,
which is insane. Yeah. Like the fact that they're still like in the because didn't they just beat the Celtics too recently?
Yes,
the Celtics. Yeah, okay, so it was.
It just came back from like 28 points or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm like for them
30,
to like.
He had 38 that game.
For them to be improving at that rate and already at like the third or fourth seed in the East and still growing, like it's gonna be. That's the team, man. It's one of those teams. I'm saying, watch out for that team in the next couple of years.
Big question, though. All in all, now that the two guys have left Brooklyn, did Steve Nash get like shafted?
I mean, it's funny because it's like this is kind of one of those scenarios where. Was he a good coach in the sense that was he able to handle the egos? Because I don't think he really was for how quickly it became like an ego thing with him. And I think if you bring him in for a team like that and you're expecting him to kind of have the relationship to like make the team better and he doesn't build that relationship, then to say he got shafted. But I do think it was a little bit. It was a little bit short. You know what I mean? Like his run was what? Not even a whole year. Like literally like a few months. So there's that. I'd say give him another shot. But like honestly, like I'm more with like I think Chauncey Billups is doing a hell of a job with Detroit. Or is he Detroit?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, is he with Detroit? Oh, I thought
No,
he was with Portland.
I think it's Portland.
Oh, it is
I thought it was
Portland.
Portland.
Yeah, I was like, I think he's doing a better job coaching with Portland than. Not to say that they're necessarily doing great this year, because Portland's not doing great. But I do think that what he's been trying to do, as far as like making the team a team and making them a little bit better, is, I mean, as better as you can be when you got. Okay, anyway, that's a perfect segue into Damian Lillard having a historic season. For what is, I mean, for all intents and purposes, a rather mediocre Portland Trailblazers team. Sorry, Portland fans. Your team's just, I mean, they've been doo-doo for how long? So, I mean, the last time when were we relevant? Nicholas Batum, LaMarcus Aldridge, that lineup? Yeah, that was the last time we really had anything going over there in Portland. I'm going to swing it over to whoever wants to talk. I'll let this be kind of an open table discussion. Dame Lillard, historically going off this year, having multiple 40-point games. Just,
you know, for me, it hits a little harder because the week before All-Star, I was matched up against Dume in our fantasy league, and he has Dame Lillard. And because if it's the All-Star break, they make that week of the fantasy 2 weeks. So I played him when he returned from All-Star break.
Perfect.
And then we just started playoffs at the beginning of last week. And I have to face Dume with Dame Lillard on the team. And so literally his points have just been racking up the whole time. And there's like, there's no way I'm going to catch it. And this is the last week against him. So I'm trying to get the other stats, but we'll see. We'll see. I could squeeze
so
away.
You're out.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks,
NFL
man.
and NBA. Fail.
Hey, at least I made the playoffs this one. Let's go.
No, I'm just kidding, Jones.
No, but we'll see.
Yeah, you would have won the other one. It's crazy.
Anyway, Dame Lillard.
When Dad always talks about that, it's so funny. He's just like, man, if Nolan made it, he would have won all the. Anyway, what was that? What were we saying?
I was like, Dame Lillard's doing Dame Lillard things. I don't think his talent was ever in question. It was just everything else around him. So we'll see.
And his brain for staying there as long as he has.
Loyalty only gets you so far, man. Especially in a era where moving teams is the norm. Yeah. We don't need you to move to a super team. But if you were to, like, you know, for example, move to freaking Utah, now that Lauri's there, you match up being the starting guard there. You have Colin Sexton. You have Clarkson still there. That's not a bad team. You know, if you wanted to like match up with someone else and just be like, hey, you know, let's make a run at this. Let's do this. That's just an example of a team. But you don't have to go to a super team, and you don't have to like prove your loyalty by staying with the team that's not going to help you out.
I think that's one thing. Yeah, like the narrative of him trying to stay loyal to Portland is great. But in this day and age, like, and we've talked about it off pod about how we all like, or at least personally, I feel I dislike that there's this disloyalty era that we've kind of gotten ourselves into. However, at this point, it's happening. Like literally, rookies are trying to get out of their like contracts, which is insane to me because it's like you just got drafted, fool. Like now you're already trying to move on from your team. Yeah, at your like third. I don't care how great you are in your third year. Like, give me that. Get that max contract and then do something. Like it's. I don't know. It's one of those things where it sucks that he has put himself in that bubble where he has to stay there. But I also feel like at this point, I mean, just go get yourself a ring. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like everybody's doing it. Nobody like to stay loyal at this point doesn't even make sense because nobody's really trying to team up with you there, and it's not working in your favor. So it's one of those things where it's like no matter how long you stay there.
I mean, even Kobe Bryant was willing to leave the Lakers because they weren't helping him out in that dry spell in the early 2000s. So it's like,
could you imagine?
And he went to the
Two more for
Bulls.
the Bulls.
Oh, we
I'm
talked
just
about the
saying.
Bulls. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I know
we already
Lakers.
talked Lakers. We had to crack it open with the Bulls. We kind of talked about it when we hit Lauri Markkanen.
But yeah, I mean,
also, I'm back. Chicago Bulls. Here we go.
oh, actually, Nicole just bought me a vintage Space Jam shirt.
Ooh.
But it's like from Japan, so it's like the Space Jam is written in kanji. And I was like,
Ooh.
"Oh,
That's pretty
That's
dope.
kind of cool.
I know. It's funny because I just picked this up at a thrift store. Like, I was waiting to
pretty
use this for the goat one, but we never got to the goat pod.
Well,
so.
I think
Here we
I
are.
told Keone off pod, or through off message, through a text message. I was like, "Bro, the United Center is probably one of the
Oh, yeah.
nicest arenas
Oh,
that
yeah.
I've been to."
There's a reason it sells out,
like,
man.
You
There's
know,
a reason.
like
Mhm.
the court to their intros to like there's just their video work and everything. And I enjoyed it, even if the game was slow.
Mhm.
You know, the game was a little slow. Bulls picked it up before halftime, and then the second half got a little slow at the end. But
It's funny.
the whole
when I-
time, you just enjoy the whole. And then you get to see all the banners. Man,
Yeah.
the banners are just.
I was gonna say, it's funny when I think back,
for all that.
like, to going there and like, wait, I didn't get to watch a game, so I've never actually watched a game in the United Center. But we went to play, obviously. They kind of did like some of the bells and whistles, like they had some of the like intro music when we came out. They did the whole like at guard like that. They played the sounds over or whatever. But we got to see kind of a tour of the back area, so we got to see like the locker rooms and stuff. But I was like, when I went, it was like the rebuild here. So it was like, whoa, it's like Chris Dunn and Zach LaVine when he wasn't even the greatest.
Denzel
Lauri
Valentine.
Markkanen. Yeah, it's like legit. Like I was just like, oh, Shaquille Harrison, crazy. Like I was just like, this is kind of lame.
Nobody's worth taking.
Thomas
that picture.
Satoransky."
Yeah, like it was okay, thank God. I was like, that was a little bit later, but I was like, oh my God, the whole team was like, wow, this is kind of lame.
This is so cool.
I think that was right before they signed Jabari Parker too, so it was like,
Oh,
Jabari Parker. Anyway,
damn! I totally
sorry.
forgot about
We just
him.
totally went way off topic. Anyway, Jared, do you have thoughts on Dame Lillard kind of going off for the Portland Trailblazers?
I mean, I think Nolan said it straight, and you guys had kind of stamped on what I was going to say. You know, Dame's doing Dame things. It's just he has to do it with no help. You know, that 71-point game, this goes to show like if he can go off on any day. He's averaging almost 40 since the All-Star break because of that 71-point game. But even in other games, he has with the 71-point game, he has two 40-point games and 33, and it's just like. I'm in full agreement with you. He has nothing left to prove, loyalty or as basketball goes, except go get a damn ring. And obviously, you look at the players that Portland's bringing in. You know, he wants to be loyal, but we talked about it at the beginning of the season. You're not getting help. They don't give a shit about you. Like, go someplace, A, where you're appreciated, and B, that you're going to have the opportunity to do the one thing that you play the game for, is to win a chip.
And honestly,
he really
I think
needs to.
a big thing is if you're the front office, be straight up with him. If you just are getting declined all the offers that you're giving to teams, giving to free agents, and they're just not willing to sign, just go to him and say, hey, do you want to wipe the clause out and give yourself a trade? Because no one is willing to sign with us, and we want to be upfront with you. It's not a matter of, at this point.
Even when they signed Jeremy Grant, I almost said Jerian, because Jerian was the Bulls one. Actually, Jerian Grant was the locker I specifically remember because I was like, oh, it's Grant. Oh, it's Jerian Grant. I thought they had like a historical like Horace Grant locker or something, but I was like, oh, it's Jerian. Anyway, sorry. But I was just saying, when they signed Jeremy Grant, I feel like that was the first time that they got somebody who was probably one of the top players in the free agency pool, because there weren't too many top free agents that season that they ended up getting Jeremy Grant. I think that was I want to say that was like the Christian Wood, maybe. Rudy Gobert? No, was that a year after?
That was last season. Last offseason.
Oh no, yeah,
Last season.
it was the DeMar DeRozan season. So I technically it could have been like Lonzo Ball, DeMar DeRozan, but it was like really like of the younger, like more appealing guys. I think Jeremy Grant was the first time they really got somebody that was like of note that they could have gotten. And
but you gave up McCollum last season. Like what?
Yeah.
Why would you replace that and say, yeah, Jeremy Grant's the answer for us not having McCollum this season? If you had brought Grant in with McCollum still there, now we're talking about a team that can actually make a run. But
maybe just get rid of Nurkic like 10 years ago.
He's
like,
not even playing right now. He's injured.
Maybe we should have just traded him like a long time ago. I don't even understand why they kept him for so long. And I think my biggest thing with that team is like I think they kept preaching like continuity, but it's like if you keep losing, what's the point of being
Continuously losing.
There we go. Anyway, going to touch real quick on something that is kind of near and dear to Jared's heart because I'm sure you care so much now that LeBron's no longer playing for that team. But we're going to talk about Udonis Haslem retiring from the league. He's calling it a career after, I think it's like 22. No, not 20.
I'm looking. Hold on.
I forgot. No, it's not 22. That's way too much. I want to say it's like 17 or something like that.
Where is it?
I think it's 21.
Oh, it is 21?
He's been in the league for this is his 19th season, it says.
Oh, 19.
Oh, 19. You know why? Because I was thinking in my head, I was like, that sounds like way too many.
Because he was there for the first chip with D Wade.
Yeah.
Which was 2003?
4. 5. No, 3.
3, 4?
It was
3, 4. 3, 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, no. 6. 2006.
2003 was the draft year, right?
The draft year
for those guys.
Yeah, it was the draft.
Is that the stacked class? That's the stacked LeBron, Wade, Bron.
2003.
Yeah. I was like, wait. I knew something was related to that year for Dwayne Wade. I just couldn't remember what. There you go. Yeah. So 2006. Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, real quick. I completely forgot this is what I was going to say for the Damian Lillard point. I feel like there should be like a number, and I feel like for me personally, that number is around 8 years because I feel like that's end of rookie contract and then one more kind of max contract. And then like for me, that's enough loyalty. Like personally in this day and age, like if you've done it for your entire rookie and then you can get to like that next contract and at least get to the end of that one before you're like, all right, I got to leave you guys. I'm not going to give you any more of my years. Like for me personally, that is long enough to be like, I'm moving on. But it's in this day and age. Like I would have said before, I'd have been like, no, you should be there your whole career. But we're clearly past that point. Anyway, sorry. Udonis Haslem, 19 years in the league, not 21. Didn't win the championship in 2003. We got all our statistics correct now. Jared throwing it over to you. Now.
He won the chip in 06 with Wade.
Yeah.
But he was drafted in 03.
He was drafted in that 03 class.
Oh, he was?
He was drafted in 03, but won in 06 with Wade. Yeah.
His first year that has on all the stats and everything is 2003, 2004.
Wow. I did not know that he got drafted the same year as Wade.
No. The same year as Wade, too.
He is 2002.
Oh, really?
Oh. So we're just messing everything up. Sick. So he got drafted in 2002, didn't play till 2003.
Yeah, he didn't play till 2003 and 4 then because I don't have any stats from him.
I don't know. Forget it. Whatever.
Anyway, whatever. He grabbed his.
Somebody who's watching go fact checked it for us. And
it didn't make sense that they were drafted same year. Anyway, continuing on. What do you think about Udonis Haslem calling it?
What do I think about Udonis Haslem? No, Udonis Haslem hasn't had the most flashiest of careers. Yeah. But I will say one of the few we're just talking about loyalty, who's loyal to a great team, to a great franchise, and thankful for the opportunities that he gets. Looking at like the minutes, I would say we'll take it nice and easy. From 2019 to 2023, he's played 24 games. I mean, that's just the story of everything. He played 24 games. That's it. He started 2 of those 24 games, and it's probably due to injury or whatever. But at the same time, I'm just going to say, like, he's been there from the beginning, from the Dwayne Wade era through the LeBron era, through everybody else, and the rebuild afterwards. And I think we've talked about it off pod in the sense of, as you get older in the league, as you've been with a team for so long, a team that's kind of done the same thing, their systems and everything that happens, you need a player like Udonis Haslem, who's not there to get minutes, not there to do anything else, but be that locker room guy, to be that old head in a sense of, I know what's going on. You need something. Don't go to the coaches, but I've been through it. I've seen the best and the worst of this team in the last 19 years. I'm going to help you through it, especially the young bloods that come through everything because they just want to be like, I want to be on the court. I want this. I want that. And I was like, no, young buck, you gotta put in your time. That's literally what they do. And I think, for a player that doesn't get as much recognition in a sense of how valuable he is to a team, I'm happy. I'm actually kind of happy he's hanging it up because I feel like, it's like, oh, Udonis Haslem for another year. Oh, and everybody's like, why do you waste a roster space for him when you can just put him on your coaching staff? It's like he's been around for so long. He's seen so many things.
I didn't even realize he played that little bit games.
Let him carry.
So, yeah, 23 games is ridiculous.
Because when players come off, and I've watched only a few Heat games, but when players come off and he's there, like, you see him talking to them. He has that relationship that he guides players, or he has like, or he'll be in the middle of the brawls, like, hey guys, let's calm this shit down. Like, we're getting out of hand. Like, he's that mediator for everything, as far as, like, I feel like from the superstars to the young ones. And it's about time. It's not, like you said, the most storied career, but at the same time, he does have a lot of rings.
I mean, he was pivotal to both of those championship teams. Like, I think that's one thing for sure.
Defensively, I think that's the one thing that I loved about Udonis Haslem. And, I used him when we played 2K2, and he got me buckets, so that's all that matters too.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think he was
Who else was gonna bring the Gatorade thing to the game?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
He gave them toughness. Come on.
I mean, for the first ring with D-Wade, I would agree.
He gave them toughness in the second one. Don't you remember when they benched him for Shane Batty?
Yeah.
How dare you pee on Udonis Haslem? Anyway, I think it's a fantastic career for a guy who showed loyalty to organization, and for them to show that same loyalty back to him. Clearly, he does more than the stats show. So, congratulations, Udonis Haslem, on a fantastic career. Would love to have you on the pod one day. But yeah, so we're gonna move on to the final topic for the day, and probably the most controversial of all the topics we're going to be talking about today.
What?
Sir Morant. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he is accused of doing a few idiotic things. It started off as a small suspension, and I feel like as the investigation progressed, it actually turned into now he will be out indefinitely. So who knows what indefinitely really means? I mean, I think the last time they said Kyrie was out indefinitely, he came back like a week later. So,
I mean, by definition, indefinitely means that there is no definite answer.
I know, but it's funny because I feel like when they drop that label, it should just say that he's suspended for like a month at the minimum. But the fact that he could literally come back in like the next day, it seems kind of ridiculous to me.
I hope not. They play the Lakers tomorrow.
Yeah, it's one of those things. But anyway, I'm going to kind of, again, open table discussion about this. I mean, your thoughts on Morant kind of controversy, and maybe just fill us in a little bit on what you saw that he's accused of.
Well, Keone, for a situation like this, I'm pretty sure everything would have been hunky-dory A-okay if the allegation came out about last offseason, his quote unquote self-defense against a pickup game player who was 17 years old. But in regards to the situation, you got to read the room. What is being said about you right now about an alleged charge being put against you for beating up a underage kid and then brandishing a gun in his presence as a way of threatening him. If all the reports are clean and you are good to go and it never happened, perfect. No skin off your back. You're good to go. You can play the next games. Everyone was okay with you not having to deal with.
We could have just swept it under the rug.
Yeah,
because you're rich.
I was gonna say if it wasn't true, you would have been fine. But and I do believe in innocent until proven guilty, unless there is already evidence being shown out to the public of what transpired, and then you can be like, okay,
the
this guy's
Instagram
guilty.
live video, kind of.
So for you to be a complete dumbass, it's one thing to be in a nightclub, IG live.
Have you seen the video? What was the video? I've not even looked.
I think it was at a club. I kind of just saw the snippet, and he lifts his gun like that, and then puts it away really quick.
Smart.
Read the fucking room, dumbass. You're making millions. You're a star on a high-level team right now, and you decide, hey, there's some heat against me right now out in the social media. They think that I was showing a gun to someone. Let me just show my gun to everyone on the web. Yeah, hey, this is my gun. So that in itself already puts you in a bad position, already puts you in a guilty outlook from perspective of everyone else that's looking in. Mm-hmm. And now, regardless if you are innocent, you just put yourself in the worst case scenario until you get proven innocent. Mm-hmm. And I think that, he's a phenomenal player.
Clarence. Gosh.
Yeah, exactly. That's a private school.
Man, you talk about that. I literally just watched that reel.
Yeah.
It literally just popped up. I was gonna send it to you because I knew we were doing.
It literally
makes it so much
fit
more
this
funny.
scenario so much. I was just legit. Why are we trying to be what we're not? Trying to be hard. I don't understand.
I mean, we've had multiple conversations about that.
I will say, he is what, 20, 23, 22, 23. He's a young man, probably not the brightest at, no one that reaches their early 20s is the brightest in their life. So we can give him some flack, but at the same time,
I was I don't think this is a slide conversation right now, though. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think we can use the youngin thing on him for this. It's one thing. I feel if I said, if he had a tough upbringing, it's a whole nother story.
Fair.
But he didn't. So it's one of those things where it's you clearly had the guidance, you had the family relationship. Your father and mother were both loving, took care of you, took you to the right, put you in the right scenarios to succeed. Literally, to me, we can't just give him he's young. He knows what he's doing. We know what we're doing. We're grown men here. It's one of those not every I could say youngins were making stupid decisions I don't know, going out and partying or whatever. But it's one of those things where it's not every kid is I'm gonna go buy a gun at this age and start waving it around. For me, that's a whole nother step up from idiot being an idiot. So Jared, I mean, we talk about the Grizzlies and their tough persona that they've been putting on lately. A lot of people like to say they're bringing it back to the old era of basketball. Which, calm down. We're not.
For all the not even close.
For all the toughness that they're putting on, come on, this is not even near where we had these teams back in the day. Anyway, but swing it over to you. What are your thoughts on kind of the general Grizzlies makeup as we did see this week, literally, not only was John Morant suspended, but so was Dylan Brooks for most technical fouls, or for I think it was a 16th technical foul on the season. What are your thoughts in general on the team, and then on John Morant's situation as well?
Well, we'll start with the team. I guess I would say every sport has to have a bad person or a villain in that regard. I know for a number of years, and I'm sure you guys will agree, it was Draymond Green, right?
Yep.
I mean, it was Draymond. Let's be real.
Yeah,
and Draymond hasn't been in the
100%.
He hasn't been in the news. He hasn't been in the highlights. He hasn't been anything. He hasn't been that guy. Right?
It's like once he punched his teammate at the beginning of the year, then it was like I think he really reeled it back a lot. Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think in that regard, when you think about a lot of different teams and you think about teams that have it, like just because the whole John Morant situation, because of the Brooks situation, because and even though I think with Desmond Bain and like how they went after LeBron in that one. I know we talk about LeBron, but they went after LeBron in that one, and he's like, "Oh, that's the last time you guys come at me." Like literally, if you could get under the skin of somebody who's supposed to be level-headed through the whole game, like you're doing something in that regard. And I think because all these things get pinpointed, that the team gets put into, oh, they're the hard team. Then I mean, in today's era, I would say they're getting put into that category because you don't have Dennis Rodman and Charles Barkley going at it. Where I literally just watched a reel where Barkley's just throwing elbows right into Rodman's lower back, and then all of a sudden, then you see like, bruh, like that's like a flagrant foul in today's game.
Exactly.
You're kicked out of the game.
It's funny because I was
we talked about that last month.
Knock it off over there.
Like I was like, if the whole league was like toilet paper, and each team was a brand of toilet paper, they're like the Dollar Tree brand that's like
one ply,
clearly single ply, and it's like rough on your butt, but it's still toilet paper. You know what I'm saying? Like
that was very descriptive.
Like to me, that's what the Grizzlies are. Like you can like the whole league is toilet paper right now.
So you're saying that they deserve to be wiped on the ass of people?
Yes.
All right.
Because they're a bunch of ass wipes.
Jody says they're ass wipes.
I like it. Well done. Well done, sir.
Anyway, sorry. Continue on, Jared. No. I know I cut you off mid-thought, yeah.
No, it's fine. But yeah, like with them, I think that's just the persona that they've been given, because there's no real other team in the league that they can pinpoint these kind of things or have that kind of like media conversations about. So I mean, that's how I feel at least about the Grizzlies. But you're not hard. You're not playing in that era. You're not that guy. Like just that's plain and simple. That's how I'm gonna leave it. The John Morant situation is just a whole different story. It's like, it's the same thing. You're trying to be hard. We already had the 8 Mile reference and everything, and it literally is what it is. But in my opinion, it doesn't matter if you're a rookie that got drafted in the very last pick of the draft to a seasoned veteran like you, Udonis Haslem. The world nowadays is all about the gunfight. Like everything's about guns. Right. Yeah. We've had so many shootings around the world. There's no place in any professional sport that you should have to see it, because whether like I said, you're that first pick or the last pick of the first in that draft, the oldest player in the league, you're still a role model because you play in a professional sport.
Yep.
And that's how you should be held accountable. Like Nolan said, read the room. All eyes are on you, especially if you're John Morant, because you're supposedly the face of the Memphis Grizzlies, and now you just like threw your organization under the bus, basically, who wants to have your back, but you're being a dumbass about it, saying, oh, I'm hard, I got a gun. Like, I mean, the guy next door has a gun. Same thing, anybody can go out and get one, but why do you have to be that person? If you're in self-defense, I get it. But it's like, especially in a sense where you're a professional athlete, you should never be the first to pull a gun.
And you know what?
Just because it gets portrayed in different, like perception is everything, right? Nolan, as a coach, perception is everything of how you're outlooked, and I think that's like how I view it. It's the perception of you're probably one of the better players in the NBA, so you're going to be under the microscope even more. And Stephen A. said it best, and this is where I'll finish it off. Stephen A. said it best. the NBA knows everything. I mean, if they don't, their people aren't doing their job. And so when you're that big of an organization and you're worldwide and everybody's watching you, like, they know everything. I mean, we coach club in high school, and I still know a lot that goes on that I don't want to know, but you still know because everybody talks. Everybody has these avenues to get information for you that whether you like it or not, you're going to know about it. So why not do it? Why not expect that on the highest of high levels?
Yep, exactly.
And, sorry, Nolan, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, and no, those are great points. And what I was going to note is, because we had Paul Pierce that tweeted out after the event came out.
For some reason, I think obviously I was here, but I was like, for some reason, I thought you were going to say we had Paul Pierce on the pod. Like, I was just like, Paul Pierce on the pod.
But it's like he tweeted out, and to his credit, a lot of what he tweeted was true. He survived an actual stabbing, and from then on, he chose to carry as a means of defense for himself.
Mm-hmm.
But the difference between his situation and Ja is someone that was not assaulted, was not put in a near-death experience, did not need to have a gun. Not saying he didn't have a right to own one, but when you look at it from a psychological standpoint, if you're willing to flash and bring out a gun more and more, it means you're more willing to use it in the wrong situations than you need it.
Exactly.
And I understand where Paul Pierce was coming from, and he had every right to agree with how Ja Morant carries.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he also probably wasn't thinking through the process of Ja Morant is not on someone's hit list. Ja Morant has not been assaulted that we know of, and he does not need necessarily the protection that he is exposing himself of having in comparison. So I think that, yes, he needs this time to take a break and find himself mentally because he isn't that guy. Mm-hmm. He did not grow up in a gangster hood area. Yeah. He surrounds himself with apparently people that are giving him that impression and that influence.
Yep.
And I think that's just going to be a matter of him looking in. And for someone who has a dad who's been so supportive and coming to games every day, every game.
Yeah.
You would think his dad would be like, yo, I don't like you hanging out with these dudes. Like, I know that, this is your money now. This is your life now, but this is not something
how
that makes sense.
Reassess what the hell's going on,
Yeah.
See, that's where I think that it's like you're at a point where you need to be an adult. Like his dad shouldn't even have to say that to him because he should realize already like the types of influences that he's bringing around him. But touching on that note, like I think one of the main differences, like for this entire scenario compared to like what Paul Pierce was talking about, nobody is saying it's not okay to carry. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody, I think that's one thing that's getting misconstrued now, and now it's turning into this like, oh, why? It's his God-given right, and America allows for this, but like it's had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with the idea of him flashing it to intimidate somebody. Like, to me, you're breaking the law the moment you decide to use it as an intimidation factor in what was essentially like a rec center fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's even true, but to even bust it out in that way to like show it, like my big gripe with him in general for this entire scenario is like, you're winning, man. You're in the top 10% of the world. Like, people would love to be where you're at, making the money you're making, having the sponsorships you have. Like, you are winning. So it's like, why even risk any of that for what? Like, what street cred are you getting? Because people don't care about how hard you are because you have enough money to basically just – he could have – I mean, in the wide scope of things, I'm not telling people how to spend their money, but he could have literally got himself a security detail for the rest of his life if he really, really felt like he needed some kind of intimidation factor. Like, it just, to me, like, makes absolutely no sense. This kid is ruining his career, and I'm gonna be honest. If everything comes out true as far as like what he did as far as intimidating people, I hope he's out the league. Like, I hope nobody resigns him. He doesn't deserve his money. I hope they cut the check, give him whatever was, guaranteed or whatever he's owed. Move on from his food. Like you don't deserve to be because like at the end of the day, the NBA is an absolute privilege. Like, these guys don't understand. Like, you're getting shoes, you're getting clothing, you're getting all this stuff plus the money. Like,
I do want to ask you guys, because especially now that we've kind of established, like, hey, if this is all true, get out the league. Do you think this is from like kind of a separate standpoint. Kyrie Irving, Nike deal. They cut it out right away when he just reposted a documentary that happened to have anti-Semitic things. Ja Morant brandished a gun that everyone saw. Stories come out. Nike puts out a message saying, "Oh, we're hoping he takes the time to get what he needs," but they still have him on that one. He just has one shoe deal currently.
Yeah.
But do you think it's a matter of keeping the same energy for something that potentially could be a lot worse than the potential of what they thought Kyrie was doing on his social media?
I think Kyrie was more of a pattern. That's why. Like Ja, this was kind of like the first big thing that really came out about him. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like Kyrie was kind of like, he had all these instances with all these different. I think they were waiting to cut ties, but that was like the moment that they were like, okay, now we got the ammunition, let's cut it right now. Like, I think they were waiting for it to be big enough where they actually had the ability to cut him. So
I agree. I was going to try not to cut you off, Keone, but like, I think you brought up the best point. You're the top 10% of the world. As coaches, and I've learned this from Henry a lot, and I can't remember where he got it. I might have even got it from Kobe or somebody.
It's going to be fantastic when we get him in the huddle.
We will, trust me. No, but at the I talked to him about that. We'll talk about that after. But you're in the top 10% of the world, right? So technically, you're a lion, right?
Yeah,
you're a lion. You're a killer.
Or is he a grizzly?
No. We're using the analogy that they use. But if you're in the top 10% of the world and you're in a pickup game and playing against this 17-year-old kid, he's like a baby sheep, or he's a sheep. Lions don't pay attention to sheep until they're hungry and need to feast.
Unless you're a panther.
So why should any of this? Like, we talk about it with the kids, right, all the time. Nolan coaching, like, it's always going to happen, but it's your choice to re-engage. It's your choice to be either the bigger man or no. I'm better than you, so I listen to your dumbass. And at the end of the game, I'm gonna let you know how I feel.
So it'd be like it's that viral video of Zion with that little kid that was like guarding him really hard in high school. If you just went and tried to intimidate that kid.
But Zion just looked at him and laughed. And he's like, whatever. And at the end of the game, they interacted and they're friends. But like during the game, it's like he didn't even bother to pay attention. And I think that's a perfect comparison that you brought up, because Zion was like Ja Morant playing against little, like, 7th, 8th graders looked like. And he just looked at the kid and was like, I'm still going to do me. I'm not going to let you, like, come into my house, or, like, I'm not going to let whatever you have to say or how you're going to play me.
I don't think that kid had a choice regardless. But you were getting dunked on no matter what. So.
But I mean, like, for real. Like,
you were getting bodied.
What is this is this 17-year-old like maybe someone that got the one up on Ja on the court or something? Like,
I don't know.
In what world does someone go, this 17-year-old pushed my button, so I beat his ass? Like, what? You're making millions. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter if he goes and splits a story saying, like, I beat Ja one-on-one. That's one dude. You're always gonna have someone in the world that might be better than you. And what are you gonna do about it? You're just gonna beat their ass.
I love that you bring that up, because Ja was the one that said, I'd cook him too, to Michael Jordan, and everybody took it out of context. But like, Michael Jordan can lose a one-on-one. He can get cooked one time. It's like everybody on any day has their opportunity. It's how you bounce back for what you take out of it. I got cooked by Michael Jordan. Great. I'm going to come back next time. I'm going to get at least. I'm going to take one game.
He's like, he wouldn't 200
for him.
But I
give
it
it
this way. There's that one famous video of MJ at his camp that had a teacher score on him.
Yes.
MJ did not care one bit. He laughed it off. He's like, "Yep, you scored on me. That's it. That's all it has to be."
It doesn't even matter. Like he knows if you're so confident in yourself in your game, you never have to look down on people, or those little people to you should never matter.
Yeah.
I get aced by my kids. Oh my God, I can't pass a ball. I'm not gonna go and like, hey, we're taking this shit outside. I'm not gonna be that guy. It's like, oh, you got me once. Good job. Bring it again. It's little things like that. It's just I think it's a mindset thing, and for somebody like you guys said, who has a family and a dad who's so supportive, and I think it's a time either to like cut the little baby tie, or just, hey, grow up and be a man, bro. That's just unacceptable. come straight down to it when it comes down to it.
So, Clarence, when you listen to this podcast later,
Demetrius.
just know.
I think his name is Demetrius or something.
Just know that you need to cut it out. People are not intimidated by this behavior.
You know, not saying that his family's like this, but if he's taking care of his family now, more reason for his dad and mom to step in and say, "Dude, what the hell are you doing?" Like, we like
taking money out of my pocket.
We like the way we're living now.
It's literally what kind of example are you setting for your kid?
You work that hard to get your kid to this point, and for them to be that supportive and put them in the camps and pay all that, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. It's like you're not paying your family back. You're like literally like, I don't know. It's so much. But anyway, I think we, in a nice bow, we've basically said our piece on what we think about Ja Morant at this point. But yeah, I think that was a fantastic way to kind of end this week's episode of Athletes Anonymous Presents After the Buzzer. Here with the boys, the original three. I'm just going to spit it over to you guys. Thank you again for joining us for this episode. But most importantly, where can the people find you guys? Starting with you, Nolan.
You guys can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at NolanKYT, NOLANKYT.
Yeah, boy. Moving over to you, Ja. Where can the people find you?
All right. I would be on Instagram and Twitch at JShirai, JSHIRAI, and on Twitter at JShirai808.
You can find him on Call of Duty at the Asian Jesus. Or what was it? I forgot what the name was already. Anyway, and you can find me.
I put it as Asian J Boogie.
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch at KONE. That's KAYOHKNEE. As always, it has been a pleasure. It's been a joy from all of us here at Poi and Soy.
Read the room, dumbass. Good vibes and love.
Bang, bang.
Shoot.